Whispers of Forgotten Prayers, the haunt of Wat Ban Phrao. I never thought I'd be writing this down. Not out of fear, exactly, but because I've always believed that putting things on paper is the only way to keep memories from twisting themselves into lies. My name is Krit Suriya, 34 years old, living in Bangkok. I'm an anthropologist specializing in folk religions of Southeast Asia. My job sounds academic and detached, poring over ancient texts in dusty libraries, interviewing locals about obscure rituals, and occasionally trekking into remote areas to collect data. But beneath it all, it's a personal obsession, a way to confront the ghosts in my head. I've suffered from chronic insomnia since childhood, and those endless nights often drag me back to memories of my mother. She left me at a temple when I was just 7, saying she was going to become a nun to find true silence. She promised she'd come back, but she vanished like she never existed. My father said it was an accident, but I knew he was lying to spare me. Ever since, temples scare me, yet they draw me in, as if I'm searching for a piece of her, of myself. It all started on an ordinary morning in Bangkok, around mid-May this year. The rainy season had arrived early, pouring down relentlessly, turning the streets into shallow rivers of mud. I was in my cramped office at Chulalongkorn University, surrounded by stacks of books and papers, sipping cold black coffee as I scrolled through emails. An old colleague, Pim from Chiang Mai, had sent me a PDF file, an article on vanishing temples in northern Thailand, places where entire monastic communities disappeared overnight, leaving behind local legends steeped in superstition. I skimmed it with professional curiosity. Most were familiar tales, cursed by spirits, or simply abandoned due to economic decline. But then I hit upon the name Wat Ban Phrao. The temple was isolated deep in the forested mountains of northern Chiang Rai, right near the Lao border. According to the article, over 20 years ago, a bizarre fire had gutted much of the place. No massive flames, just thick black smoke enveloping everything, and by morning, the entire Sangha, about 15 monks, had vanished without a trace. Authorities investigated for months, then closed the case with a vague self-dissolution due to internal difficulties. No bodies, no signs of violence or theft. But the villagers nearby whispered differently. They said Wat Ban Phrao wasn't truly abandoned. It had just stopped accepting the living. Before the fire, the temple was renowned for its silent meditation practice, monks vowing years of absolute silence, communicating only through gestures or notes. They believed silence allowed them to hear the voices of karma. And the detail that chilled me: every new moon night, the temple bell tolls once at exactly 1:11 a.m., even with no wind, no one to ring it, and the bell tower long since dilapidated. I chuckled reading that. As a researcher, I'm used to dissecting superstitions through a scientific lens. The bell could be seismic vibrations from the mountains, or wind funneling through ravines. The fire, lightning in the extended rainy season. But then, a thought flashed like lightning. My mother had headed north. She left me at Wat Arun in Bangkok and said she was seeking true silence at a remote temple near the border. She disappeared after that, and no one ever found her, despite my father's private investigators. Could Wat Ban Phrao be the place? Or was it just a coincidence fueled by my imagination? I shook my head, trying to dismiss it. But the childhood trauma, the image of me sitting alone in Wat Arun's courtyard, waiting under drizzling rain for her return that never came, wouldn't let go. I decided to go. It would be a short fieldwork trip, gathering data on silent meditation rituals and local folklore. I'd document everything by hand, as always. For me, ink on paper doesn't lie like human memory. It doesn't warp with time or emotion. I prepared quickly, like any other expedition, packed my backpack with my worn leather notebook, digital recorder, spare flashlight, mosquito repellent, and a few ancient books on karma and Southeast Asian meditation. I also slipped in an old photo of my mother, her in a white blouse, smiling gently, taken before she ordained. I knew it'd keep me up at night, but I couldn't leave it behind. The flight to Chiang Rai took just an hour, but from the airport, things got rougher. I hired a jeep from a local driver named Sam Chai, a weathered old man with sun-darkened skin, a gap-toothed smile, and a thick northern accent. He drove me over bumpy asphalt roads that gave way to muddy tracks, water splashing under the tires as rain pounded down. "You're going to Wat Ban Phrao?" he asked, glancing in the rearview mirror. I nodded, explaining my research. He shook his head, voice dropping low. "Not a good place, sir. After the fire, no one goes there. Villagers say the bell rings to call back those who left without permission. Prayers there don't vanish, they just shift the burden to someone else." This year's rains are strange, lasting too long. Stay one night, then come back. I smiled, assuring him I was used to such folk stories. They were gold for my work. But he didn't smile back, just drove in silence. He dropped me at the mountain's base, about 5 kilometers from the temple, and promised to return in 3 days. If I wasn't there, he'd alert the police. I shouldered my heavy pack, umbrella in hand, and started the trek through the forest. The trail was narrow, flanked by dense foliage dripping with rain, leaves rustling underfoot. Bird calls mixed with the patter of water on leaves, and the earthy scent of wet soil filled my nostrils. It took about 2 hours, my legs aching from the mud, but the wild mountain air invigorated me. Finally, through the thick canopy, I spotted the temple's roof peeking out. Wat Ban Phrao was smaller than I'd pictured, just the main hall of weathered decay, a few bamboo huts, and a leaning bell tower smothered in vines. The whole site felt swallowed by time and nature. Walls charred black from the old fire, shattered roof tiles scattered on the ground, moss carpeting every surface. No human signs, just the ceaseless rain and wind howling through border ravines, carrying a damp chill. I set up a temporary tent in one of the more intact huts, to shelter from the rain. It had a thatched roof leaking in spots, a moldy wooden floor, but enough space for my sleeping bag and gear. I scouted around. No electricity, no running water, just an old well near the bell tower, its water murky but filterable. I got to work immediately. The first day passed smoothly, almost normally. I explored the main hall, photographing the surviving Buddha statues, most scorched black, but their faces serene, eyes half closed in deep meditation. Some had faint carvings, likely from antiquity. I found scraps of yellowed paper, notes on silent meditation. No speech, to hear Karma's whispers. When the mouth is silent, the mind speaks. I jotted it all down meticulously in my notebook, describing the atmosphere. This place is quiet enough to hear your own heartbeat. Maybe that's why the monks chose silence to escape the noisy world outside. As afternoon waned, rain intensified. I sat under the hut's eaves, listening to drips through gaps, and my mind wandered to my mother. Had she been in a place like this? What had she prayed for to forget her only son? I shook it off, focusing on work, but childhood memories flooded back. Sleepless nights at Wat the bell tolling as I waited in vain. That first night at Wat Ban Phrao, sleep evaded me, as usual. Rain hammered harder, leaking through the roof, pooling on the floor. I lay awake, wind howling, mixed with insect chirps from the forest. Around midnight, at 12:30 by my watch, I heard an odd sound, a faint whisper, echoing from the main hall. Not wind, it had rhythm, like someone murmuring sutras in a low, indistinct voice. I sat up, grabbed my flashlight and umbrella, and stepped out. Rain soaked my clothes, but I pushed to the hall. The old wooden door creaked open slightly under the wind. Inside was pitch black, faint moonlight filtering through cracked windows. I swept the beam around, empty, just the carved walls and a lingering smoky scent from over 2 decades ago. I chalked it up to insomnia and the damp air playing tricks, heading back. Before trying to sleep, I flipped open my notebook. Whispers, probably wind, through wood cracks or bugs. Don't let imagination run wild. Explore more tomorrow. I dozed off for a few hours, waking at dawn, feeling drained but determined. The second day, rain persisted, but the air felt heavier. Mist from the mountains shrouded the sight, blurring everything like a bad dream. I delved deeper into the main hall, sensing something off from the night before. Inside, dim light pierced broken windows, illuminating the teak walls. I realized the scratches weren't random or fire damage, they were inscriptions. Hundreds of lines of ancient Thai script, etched deep, as if clawed by sharp fingernails. Some grooves held dried blood mixed with wood, enduring years. I knelt with my flashlight, reading slowly. They were prayers, but not the usual pleas for blessings or health. They reeked of desperation. Please let my husband forget the pain I caused. Let my daughter erase the bad memories of her father. Make my ex-lover vanish from my mind forever. Hundreds of them, variations repeating, all ending with the same deep-carved phrase. Please let this person remember me no more. A shiver ran down my spine, cold despite the humidity. These weren't prayers for salvation to live better. They were pleas for oblivion, erasing memories, as if someone's existence was an unbearable weight. I wondered if this tied to silent meditation, forgetting worldly ties for enlightenment, releasing karma for freedom. But why claw with nails? It looked like desperate people scratching in agony, perhaps in the dead of night. Some lines overlapped, as if multiple hands had added over years. I tried reading one aloud from my recorder, but my throat seized. My voice faltered, and in my head, a whisper echoed, "Please let this person remember. Please forget." I shut off the device hastily, stepping outside to breathe the damp air, heart racing like a drum. Just hallucination, I told myself. From fatigue and the atmosphere here, that afternoon, rain eased slightly. I called Sam Kai for more local intel. He connected me via spotty video call to an elderly villager named Molly, about 70, wrinkled skin, cloudy eyes, but sharp voice laced with caution. Wat Ban Phrao isn't cursed by ghosts. Young man, it's the unanswered prayers. Karma doesn't disappear. It just passes the burden. The monks practiced silence to listen, but when people stop speaking, buried things start talking. After the fire, they vanished because of someone's prayer, maybe their own, or visitors before. She detailed the fire. No big blaze, just dense black smoke like hell's fog. And by dawn, the temple empty. No footprints leaving, no luggage. Since then, the bell tolls on new moon nights, not summoning worshippers, but calling those who left without paying the price for their pleas. Don't stay long, she warned. Those prayers aren't for redemption. Some pray to forget, and you'll become the cost. I thanked her, hung up, and noted everything, but my mind raced back to my mother. Had she come here, praying to forget me, to erase a failed marriage, a burdensome son? I shook it off, but my deepest fear, not death, but being erased from another's memory, gnawed at me. That evening, I resolved to stay awake for the bell. New moon, sky ink black, rain pattering on the roof. I sat in my tent, notebook open, phone clock at 1:10. At 1:11 exactly, the bell tolled. One long resonant peal, like a mournful cry from the leaning tower. It vibrated through the humid air, raising my arm hairs, seeming to echo across the mountains. No wind, no ringer, the tower 50 meters away, motionless. I dashed out, flashlight sweeping wildly. Nothing, just rain and darkness swallowing all. Back in the hut, my notebook lay open to a new page, handwritten, "Krit, please let mother forget you." The script matched mine, thin and thick strokes, even ink smudges from damp, but I hadn't written it. Heart pounding, I tore the page, burned it with my lighter. The tiny flame flickered in the rain, and I muttered, "Hallucination, from sleep deprivation and stress. Leave tomorrow." But the third day, things worsened. Torrential rain turned the forest to mud seas, thick fog limiting visibility to meters. I planned to leave, though Samchai was due that afternoon. A strange urge, like a whisper in my mind, held me. I returned to the main hall, scraping moss with a knife for closer inspection. Underneath, hundreds more pleas emerged, spanning floor to ceiling, and there it was amid the overlapping script, my name. "Please let Krit Suriya remember me no more." Not once, but dozens, hundreds of times, in varying hands. One trembling, like an elder's dying scroll. One bold, like a youth's despair. One skewed, like written in physical torment. And the oldest, deepest etch, dated in faded Roman numerals. "Before my birth, 34 years ago. Please let Krit Suriya vanish from the world's memory. Let him never exist." How I wasn't born. My fingers trembled, touching the groove. It felt warm, fresh scratched, and under my nail, a speck of fresh blood. I collapsed on the hall floor, mind reeling, breath ragged. The whispers returned, not from wind or bugs, but everywhere from walls, silent Buddhas, my own head. "Forget, forget. Please let this person remember no more." They repeated like a mantra, growing louder, drowning the rain. I tried reciting an ancient Buddhist sutra from my notebook to calm myself, but my voice warped. "Please let Krit forget mother. Please let Krit vanish." I bolted outside, slipping in mud, rain drenching me. In the hut, my notebook brimmed with new pages. "Krit Suriya, please forget. Krit Suriya, please vanish. Krit Suriya, the price of oblivion." My handwriting, but not mine. They appeared like magic, ink still wet. That night, the bell didn't toll once. It rang continuously, calling my name amid the storm. Through the hazy rain, I saw shapes, monks in scorched robes, standing silent around the temple, lips moving wordlessly, eyes fixed on me as if praying. They didn't move, yet seemed closer. I screamed, fleeing into the forest, lost in fog. I don't recall escaping. Sam Chai said he found me at the mountain base next morning, delirious in mud, body chilled, muttering. Mother didn't forget, she prayed for me to forget. But karma shifts. He rushed me to a Chiang Rai hospital, where doctors diagnosed exhaustion, dehydration, possible fever-induced hallucinations, but I know better. Back in Bangkok now, insomnia worsens. Every new moon, even amid city noise and neon lights, the bell tolls at 1:11 in my head. A reminder, my locked notebook sprouts new lines each dawn. Please let Krit remember no more. I doubt all my memories, childhood, job, existence. Did my mother visit Wat Ban Phrao, praying to forget me? Or am I the victim of another's plea, from before my birth? Karma isn't for salvation. Some pray to forget, and others become the price of that oblivion. I'm writing this to remember, to fight back. But who knows tomorrow? The pages might be blank, and I'll forget. And you, reading this, do you remember me? Or is the name Krit Suriya already fading from your mind?